Hey everyone, and welcome back. So today we're going to talk about something I think we all wonder about. Where do we find a kind of joy that actually sticks around? You know, the real deal. We're going to dig into some pretty ancient wisdom that has a surprising and I think really powerful answer. So let's just start with a big question right up front. We all want joy, right? But where does that real, lasting stuff come from? The kind that doesn't just evaporate the second things get a little tough. It's a question that, honestly, we all wrestle with.
Because let's be real, not all joy is the same. There's that kind that feels amazing for a minute, but then kind of leaves you feeling empty. Or, the joy that's totally tied to what's happening to us. We get the promotion, we're on top of the world. The car breaks down, joy's gone. And then there's that roller coaster of trying to find joy in what other people think of us. It's just so fragile and honestly, it's exhausting.
But the source material we're looking at today just flips this whole idea on its head. It basically says, look, the search for real joy isn't about running around trying to fix everything on the outside. It's about a total shift in what you focus on the inside. It's a discipline, not some prize you win.
Okay, so to really get what this looks like in practice, let's start with our first case study. A guy from ancient history named David. Now, his life was, well, it was a mess. But he's held up as this perfect example of someone who found this deep, unshakable joy anyway.
And I mean, if you think this is some story about a guy who had it easy, just look at his life. He was the family reject, literally hunted like an animal by a jealous king. His rivals were constantly spreading lies about him, and get this, he was even betrayed by his own son, who drove him out of his own home. By any standard, today or back then, this is a life packed with turmoil and trauma.
So how on earth could a person living that life be a model for joy? Well, the source points us directly to this. Right in the middle of all that chaos, his delight, the actual source of his joy, was found in focusing on divine teaching. He didn't just skim it, he meditated on it, day and night.
And this is the absolute key. For David, this wasn't some kind of transaction. He wasn't meditating on this stuff so that he could get a reward or make his problems go away. The text is really clear. The act of focusing itself, the meditation, that was the joy. It was the blessing. Think of it like a kid who just loves being with their parent, not because of what they're going to get, but just because they love being with them.
Now, it's easy for us to see a word like law and immediately think of a bunch of restrictive rules. But the original Hebrew word here, Torah, is so much richer. It's not just a rule book. It means instruction or teaching. It's a guide for how to live a full, meaningful life. It's wisdom, not just regulations.
So, what's the payoff for this kind of focused life? Well, the source is clear. It's not like winning the lottery. It doesn't promise you'll get rich overnight or that you'll never have problems again. Instead, it promises a stable, grounded life, kind of like a healthy tree that produces fruit at just the right time every year. It's about a consistent, purposeful life, not a sudden jackpot.
All right, so we've seen this on the epic scale of a king's life. Now let's shift gears and look at the exact same principle, but in a quiet, everyday scene inside a regular home. So we meet these two sisters, Martha and Mary. They've got an important teacher visiting, and they could not have more different approaches. On one hand, you have Martha. She's a whirlwind of anxious service, distracted by a million tasks, worried, upset, focused on all the preparations. And then you have Mary. She's all about focused presence, just sitting at the teacher's feet, listening.
Now, to really get what's happening here, we need a little context. For Mary to just be sitting at a rabbi's feet, that wasn't her being lazy. In that culture, for a woman to do that, to take the position of a student, a disciple, that was a bold, even radical choice. It completely went against social norms. So when Martha, who's stressed and busy, finally complains about her sister, the teacher doesn't tell Mary to get up and help. Nope. Instead, he completely affirms her choice. He says that she's chosen what is better, and, this is huge, he calls it something that will not be taken away from her. It has a lasting, permanent value.
And let's be super clear. The point isn't that Martha's work was bad. Service and hospitality are good things. The problem was that her anxiety about these good things distracted her from the single best thing she could have been doing in that moment, being present and listening to the teaching.
Okay, so we've got a king who finds delight in divine instruction while literally running for his life, and we've got a woman in her home finding value in listening to the word. So let's pull these two stories together.
And this is where it all clicks. The source is arguing that the Torah, or the divine instruction that David found his joy in, and the word that Mary chose to listen to, they're the same thing. They point to the same source of life, stability, and joy. It's all about that singular focus on divine wisdom.
So what does this all boil down to? It's this incredibly powerful conclusion. In a world that is constantly screaming for our attention, telling us that a million things are urgent, this wisdom just cuts right through all that noise. It suggests that out of all the good things we could be doing, there is only one thing that is truly essential. One priority that gives a joy that can't be shaken by your circumstances or taken away by anyone.
And that really leaves us with a challenging question for ourselves, doesn't it? It's not usually about choosing between a good thing and a bad thing. The much harder choice is often between a good thing and the best thing. So, what good, important, even noble tasks in your own life might actually be distracting you from the one thing that offers a joy that can't be taken away? That's definitely something worth thinking about.